Let's talk about Kohberger's appearance in court the other day and some of the unsaid things that took place, because sometimes it's those little signs, those little cues that we give off that really say so much. And I could think of nobody better to talk about this with than you, Robin Dreeke. Let's talk about one of the things that I know stood out to me, stood out to you, and stood out to many people was the steepling of the hands when he's in court. Looked very like I know what's going on. I don't even know how to describe it. There's an aura of confidence to it where maybe he shouldn't be so confident. What did you take away from the body language of that hearing?
It struck me right away. Having that high steeple that he had sitting at the table there in his chair in his suit, it keeps following the arc of what I have said and you and I have talked about from the very beginning with him. He's got this aura of I know more than everyone, and that this was a science experiment that he did, that he handed in about how he studied how to kill and murder people. He put this thing all together and he handed it in for a grade, and he can't believe he got an F because he got caught, and all the evidence is against him, and it he can't believe it. So he still has that air of arrogance and confidence that I'm going to get away with it. And why? I think to this point, I think his defense attorney has done a really, really, really good job of battling absolutely everything. But I don't think she prepped him well for the courtroom on this one. I think she is feeding into his narcissism and his overconfidence. So when you have someone that is validating that we got this, you know what you're doing, we're good, we're going to keep battling this, it's feeding into his own self-impression and self-opinion of himself, which gives him that air of superiority that he thinks of himself in that courtroom. That's not what you want to show a jury.
No,
You
no.
want to show something different than that. I don't want to say what you should or shouldn't show, but having that kind of arrogance and overconfidence, it's I think it was a fatal flaw of his in that courtroom that day.
It's not gonna play well at all. Uh, to me, I'm still wondering when I look at him, is he going along for the ride, and did he want to get on this ride? Like, did he know that this was going to happen? He knew he was going to be tried for this at some point. Obviously, he tried to evade police for a little while, but was this something where there's some sort of sick, twisted thing in him, and he thought, I'm going to do this? But why? Why would one want to do this? Why would one want to go and end up behind bars, possibly being tried for murder and even possibly the death sentence? And I had a thought the other day on this, and tell me if I'm completely off, but this was a very bizarre one. He always has had issues, as we can see in his arc of behavior, in his writings and everything, of not having good relations with women, but very much desiring relationships with women. We see it on and off. We've heard testimonies from people who went on a date with him, how awkward he was, how bizarre he was, just did not have the skills, was not capable of communicating in a healthy way with women, but he didn't take the responsibility. He didn't look at himself and say, maybe it's me. Maybe I should improve, learn some new ways of handling myself. No, he didn't do that at all. He studied criminal behavior. He studied some of the worst people out there, and what life was like for them outside of prison and then behind bars. But one thing that most of those people that are behind bars did get after committing crimes, women. They got attention from women. And so this is where my weird theory, and I don't know how, I'm not 100% behind it, but it's running through my mind of, did he commit these crimes out of rage and vengeance and trying to show people, see my power, and I'll show you, that sort of a thing, as a screw you to women. But then in the end, he's in jail, and now he is getting the attention from women, something he could not achieve on the outside at all. Maybe it's bizarre. Maybe it's quite an extreme reason to go kill four people. But this is someone who we know does not think in a rational level like the rest of us. He's kind of on his own planet. Could that be some reason or motive to commit these sort of crimes? I don't know that we've ever seen anyone in history or documented as that being a motive to get behind bars.
I think you're right on with the motive of the women, the attention, and the arc of his life has been, it was as it is with a lot of psychopaths and people with high level psychopathy. They are looking for something to stimulate an emotion that they can never have.
Hmm.
He wrote about that when he was younger.
Yeah.
And so that's why they murder a lot of times, is to get an emotional response and also to fantasize things they can't do otherwise. And so then they act out in fantasizations, which is control, which is murder. I don't, I'm not thinking that he did what he did so he could go to jail and get the attention from being in jail.
Hmm.
What it looks like is, what your theory I think is really sound in this, is that he, because he desires and craves those things, what he's doing is he's transformed, again, if it's him,
Hmm.
he's transformed the pleasure and emotional stimulus he was getting from the action of planning the murder, doing the murder, and now that he's getting attention, he's utilizing that as his fuel.
Hmm.
And his defense attorney being female and giving him that attention is fueling that emotion. Being on trial, he's now able to take his science experiment from how to kill to how to defend myself, and so he's got something to fixate on. And so I think that's what's happening. I, as like you, I don't know of a case where anyone did something as heinous as this because they knew they're going to get caught and they wanted the attention they're going to get when they get caught.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for them to keep killing people than than be behind bars and not be able to kill people. But since he's already behind bars now, I think he's making the most of it to get the attention he wants, and he's that feeling of control he has. It's really interesting that he has. When you brought that up, it really struck me with having a female defense attorney as well.
That's interesting
And
too.
then she, yeah, it's just fascinating because his behavior in that courtroom, it's elevated. It's escalated from where it was at the very beginning. He had this look of curiosity at the very beginning when he was first arrested in the courtroom, and he kind of sat with his arms kind of hunched down like this.
Hmm.
And he's a little more contrite looking. Grin, surprised and shocked always that he was caught is always the impression I got from him non-verbally. But from going from this at the very beginning when he's arrested to this
Hmm.
the last time, someone's feeding that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Where is the fuel coming from, and why? Because there's not a lot that's been going in his favor at all in any of this to exude that sort of confidence. But yeah, I can see that the maybe Ann Taylor is feeding
Except
that.
his defense attorneys, except his defense attorney saying it is going our way.
And if that's what he believes, he seems to have that ability to do that, to compartmentalize. And if he wants to believe that that narrative, he'll believe that narrative. Just the same reason he believed his
Of
other
course he will.
narratives.
Yeah, like he believed that he had, again, if it's him,
Yep.
he believed he had the perfect way to murder people, to
Mhm.
murder two women that
Yep.
went sideways and wound up killing four.
Mhm.
So he had the perfect solution to everything he was doing. He thought it was going to be perfect. And then when it wasn't, he looked so shocked and surprised. And now he's back in that fantasy mode. Remember, these people fantasize to themselves that it's going much better than it actually is.
Mhm.
And so, because his lawyer's feeding him that, and there you go.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one to watch and dissect.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you want more of our interview with our guests, be sure to check out our podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Just search that wherever you download podcasts and press subscribe. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel for the full video version of the interviews as well, under the same name, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Check it out, subscribe, binge, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.